Hey, Garage Logic fans, I do a podcast on the Garage Logic Network that comes out every Wednesday and Friday now, twice a week. But here's an important caveat. There is zero logic available in my show, in the formal definition of logic. Of course, life is a yin and yang kind of thing. There's the logic side, and then there's the what the hell side, which needs to get its exercise. So come for the what the hell and stay for the you've got to be kidding me. Mishki, now Wednesdays and Fridays, twice a week.
Mm-hmm. Josh Arnold, investment consultant, brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1611, September 3rd, 2025. 97 degrees on this day in 1925 and in 1923. So almost 100 years apart there we had records. At the fair, they would have been at the fair probably. Because the fair was over early this year, wasn't it?
Very early.
Yeah. And it was 32 degrees on this morning at the fair in 1974. Call Josh Arnold at 952-925-5608 for a free 48-minute consultation.
Hail the flashlight king.
Hail you! And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
We have to develop a saying. I don't care when it's used, either at the beginning of a show or at the end of a show, but we've got to keep up the hectoring of Ilhan Omar about the $30 million.
Okay.
Explain it to us. Because I think the public has a right to know.
But she says that's right-wing propaganda that they're pointing out.
The financial records are revealing this.
Here is your latest Ilhan Omar report.
I don't have one.
Logic.
Well, I do, actually.
Okay, but if she has made this money legally, why is she apologizing for having money?
Because she's a Mysterian, and they're not supposed to have money or like money or seek money.
What's your line? I'm not rich enough to claim to be a Democrat.
Yeah, I'm not rich enough to pretend I'm a liberal. I don't have anything today. She's just, I do have to catch up.
I'd be telling everybody.
Pardon me?
If I had $30 million, I'd be telling everybody.
I have to catch up on some things, try to keep the show in order, tidy things up.
Why do we have to have anything about her? Why can't you just say something about her every day the same way you say what numbered show this is?
Right.
Today's show is 1611, and she's
Ilhan
a fraud.
Omar still is worth $30 million.
Yeah.
Hail the flashlight king.
Hail you!
Now, that was very enthusiastic.
Okay.
The CP and I just got back from the Minnesota State Fair. We drove 3,033 miles total round trip, bought over $500 worth of gas, stayed 7 nights in motels, stayed 2 nights in Roseville, Minnesota, and took the shuttle to the fair. Overall, well, let me just say this. Our experience was by far the most amazing experience of our lives. We've never seen so many people in one place. We enjoyed everything, and seeing the show live was great and a bucket list for me. We found great seats just to the left of the stage. We were there for the second Friday show. Thank you. Lucretia and Keith, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Wow, nice.
Isn't that a
cool.
nice? They drove all that way just to see.
Did they say hi? Did anybody talk to him? I don't think I did.
They didn't tell us that, hey, we're down in the seats here and we're from St. Petersburg.
Next time, say hi.
For sure.
No, this reflects on the lack of focus and attention often exhibited by the people who are on this show. Mayor, Thursday's podcast, meaning last Thursday, contained at least the third time you have mentioned Dr. Avi Loeb and the mystery object hurtling through the galaxy. Kenny, you want to weigh in yet?
I'm waiting to get blasted. I just know
I thought it was going to be.
I'm in the sights.
It surprises me that neither Kenny or John have mentioned that they spoke with Dr. Loeb during the first iteration of the Krabby Coffee Shop podcast, March 16th, 2022. Whoops. Upon further reflection, I suppose I'm not surprised Kenny hasn't brought up the interview, as I doubt he listens to the podcast he's even on while they're being recorded.
I wonder if he heard what I said about that podcast right before this podcast started today.
I am, however, shocked that John hasn't brought up that episode from a few years ago. I think Johnny's trying to compliment you.
Yeah, and now that it's brought up, I do remember it, but I would not have associated. I used the A.V. Loeb story in my news about
All right,
what?
we're not done with this.
Oh, gosh.
If you've got some time, listen to that episode, which was recorded when Dr. Loeb discovered another mystery object in our galaxy. Perhaps it will give you an opportunity to FYI, Mr. FYI. Thanks, Adam. So you guys had this Harvard guy on.
I do remember that we talked to a guy named Nick who had been abducted by aliens numerous times, and they were harvesting his nipples.
Yeah.
And he said on the ship there was a bucket full of nipples on the ship.
Was this you talked to that fellow the same day you talked to this professor at Harvard?
I have no idea, Joe. You
don't
know
really
how much
know
I love
Quite a
that
range.
show.
I remember the nipple guy. He was weird.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
Yeah.
And
Would it be different if you said the nipple guy wasn't weird?
Yes, that would be very.
Here's from Tom, who wonders if he's the only one who feels Walz is trying to be the left's version of Trump. It seems more often than not that Walz has tried to say viral, shocking things that we're used to hearing from Trump. Most recently, I saw a clip of Walz. I saw this same thing, musing about how he wakes up in the morning hoping to hear some news about Trump, intimating the news to be Trump's demise. I just get the sense he sees an approach like that working for Trump, so he's trying to be that guy on the left. He's pathetic, yeah. I saw that. Walzy was...
And although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know. There will be news. You get up...
Well, he is a bitter, angry guy, isn't he?
But
Yeah.
for that constant rhetoric to come from that one individual who I just can't stand.
Well, this was an occasion that for some reason he was in Duluth. I suppose he had nothing else to do, so it was Labor Day BS.
Yeah, it was Workers' Labor Day is what it was.
And he's up there. So, and NBC has done a wonderful thing. NBC has issued a correction after having used male pronouns in its reporting to describe the transgender shooter who killed 2 kids at Annunciation. So the trans shooter left behind a video manifesto in which he said, bleep those kids and where's your bleeping God now? But NBC previously had referred to the trans shooter being male, and they issued an apology. So they got it. They know what's important.
Got it.
They
I
got
saw
that down.
a print outlet on the internet also did the same thing. I don't remember who it was, though.
Did you see the closed caption video of this young fellow in a gun store?
Yeah,
Shopping.
yeah, I
He
did.
clearly
And-
was a male.
Yeah, he looked fairly normal.
Yeah, and do you remember what the proprietor, the owner, and the employees said about him?
Help us understand that.
They are trained to watch out and look out for signs that the person they're dealing with is deranged, and this guy passed wonderfully. He was a normal, everyday, happy customer that had exchanges with numerous employees and a customer or two. So he did not fit the bill.
But didn't he also slap himself in the forehead for missing it? But
the owner.
Yeah.
Obviously they're all very, very upset with themselves. Yeah. But the guy showed no signs.
No, I understand.
Which brings us back to our initial question: what do we do here? Well, how do we stop this?
It seems that at least half the country is placed in the position of having to go around and cleaning up the Mysterian messes that keep getting created. the Mysterians enter a city, enter a room, enter anywhere, and they make a terrible mess. And then it has to be cleaned up. And I don't know how...
Define that in this case, please.
Well, it's back to mainstreaming lunacy. The Mysterians have... Boy, I'm going to really get heavy now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The mystery is basically founded on the proposition that the country is flawed. That the founders were, because of their whiteness and their maleness, they didn't have the whole picture. So they founded a flawed country, and we, the Mysterians, are here to straighten that out. So everything the founders did, the Mysterians find problematic. Even success and achievement, the Mysterians frown on because they believe that's an affectation of the founding. They believe laws are an affectation of the founding. They believe discipline is an affectation of the founding because they believe all the things that once held they believe the glue that once held the country together was a flawed glue. And they are here to correct it. And by correcting it, all they do is make a mess because they're let me read you something.
Well,
let me read you something.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
No, I don't want to change, but when you're done, I have tons of questions.
Well, I don't even know if I can answer them. But let me see if I still have a text. Was it a text from Bill Stein or an email? Shoot. Let me look real quickly here. I believe it was an email. I believe I can still find it.
Great verbal crutches as you search for it.
I know. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it.
Okay.
I screwed up.
Okay, since you're distracted, let me ask you this. Everything you just said before you went looking for the email, how did that put this Robin kid in our laps? How did that lead to him shooting up a church load of kids? Define that for me. That's where I'm lost. And I'm not really even trying to argue with you. I'm just interested in your thoughts.
Well, let's just take his case and say, unfortunately, there's probably 1 million kids like that, just for the sake of argument.
Can I answer for you?
What seems to be at work is the failure of anyone to take that critical, tough step of controlling that child, whether it's this kid or 1 million others.
I think you nailed it because this Robin himself in one of the videos said his advice was don't transition at an early age and stay away from weed.
And I've said if transgenderism is not mental illness, so I'm being very charitable there. If transgenderism is not mental illness, it's absolutely the starting point for a come to Jesus meeting with your parents. It's absolutely the starting point of deep, deep reflection and discussion.
That's really, really, really difficult for some kids.
That's too bad. That's the way it is.
Yeah, but
I don't care if it's difficult.
When you know your parents don't understand, it's not going to be a conversation. It's going to be you getting yelled at by people who have no idea what you're going through and placing the blame right back on the shoulders of the kid. It's a pretty heavy thing for a kid to deal with.
Well,
it sounds like I'm defending him, but I'm just saying what I know.
No, but that's the whole thing is that's supposed to open some type of discussion saying, I'm trying to understand, what are you doing? I think his frustration was he just became a lost soul, and I don't have any information here. I just think he became a lost soul and didn't know what to do with his body.
He did, you're right, early on. We got that from his classmates that were interviewed by TV stations who said this kid's been really effed up for a long time, disturbingly so. But it appeared to me in everything that I've read and heard that this kid did not have a good outlet to discuss these sort of things with his parents.
Well, that's okay. They were divorced. She worked at the school as the secretary. I mean, I don't know what type of. And there's several siblings, but when he chastised the one sibling to get along with his mom or make amends, obviously there's other stuff that was going on that we're not.
I read that the father in the family is a very, very much a liberal. The mother was very much not. That presumably was a source of their dissension in their marriage.
Yep.
The mother, even though she, the mother signed off on the name change. I think state law requires both parents do. I don't know why that wasn't the case. Beyond that, I don't know anything. I've never denied that the parents would have anguish about this, but I'm sorry, you didn't do enough.
The one phrase we've heard over and over in different cases, and not this case, is the system failed him. Do you think that's the truth in this case? I don't know what my opinion is on that.
No, I don't, because there is no system. In fact, the system in Minnesota, if you're talking about political ideology, creating some sort of systems in place, the creative ideology in this state would be to encourage transgenderism. It's a trans refuge state.
Yesterday, we talked about red flag laws, and then we got that email from Jordy reminding us, that there is no need for red flag laws because all the components are already there for teachers, law enforcement, etc., to get this type of person into a facility against this person's will and hold this person in that facility until a doctor deems he or she okay to be released. So all of those systems are in place already.
Let's go back to the idea that the moral and ethical groundwork of this country has been shattered, that we're failing to live up to our civil contract. We're all focused on this horrible, horrible event at Annunciation because it's such a powerful, powerful optic. Innocent children at their opening mass for school. It's just a powerful, powerful optic. It's additionally made a powerful optic because it was in a neighborhood that people were finding unlikely for this to happen. Mm-hmm. And those are people who don't realize what's happening. They would understand that it doesn't make any difference where this happens now. But in the meantime, you shouldn't forget that prior to the Annunciation shooting were 3 shootings involving deaths in 19 hours in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Today, we have the news that yesterday a Minneapolis Transit Center shooting left 1 dead. Yesterday, a student showed up for the first day of high school at Johnson and was arrested for bringing his gun to school. Mm-hmm. This is, people have their heads in the sand. This country has lost its moorings. The rope is broken, and the boat is adrift. This is everywhere, all the time. And again, the Annunciation horrific case is horrific because of all those extenuating optics. But it's probably just as horrific to whoever was involved with this. Well, what happened here? We have a 32-year-old man shot inside a transit station in South Minneapolis. And that was, boy, I'm having a little trouble here. Just turning a page.
Want assistance?
Jesus.
Good staple.
Minneapolis police are searching for a suspect who fled on foot after shooting another man inside a transit center. This was at 12:30 yesterday afternoon. Shots fired at Lake Street in Chicago. Then they found a 32-year-old guy with gunshot wounds who died at the scene. Chief O'Hara said a preliminary investigation points to an altercation between two men leading up to the shooting, while noting the area has been a problem area in recent months. Multiple casings from a handgun at the scene. The shooter has fled on foot. The shooting is not believed to be random. That shooting was the 42nd homicide of the year. That's less than last year.
Hey.
At this time.
All right.
There was 51 at this time last year. And O'Hara said what he always has to say, another life has been lost due to senseless violence. All right. Now you got a kid who brings a gun to Johnson High School. And what we get out of this story is that the school officials say that the system worked. The student was taken into custody. No one was harmed. No one was injured. But apparently the school said it followed district protocols. A report was made. I think another student made the report. Then they have safety protocols that kicked in. Administration and our on-site security staff quickly responded and followed out safety procedures, contacted the district security and emergency management team and the St. Paul Police for support, and it was all handled. All right.
Is that's over on the Rockin' East side, right?
Yeah, it's right on Payne Avenue, near
Arcade.
Wheelock Parkway.
Yeah.
Arcade Street. Yeah. I'm sorry, not Payne Avenue, Arcade. We're told that parents should remind their children to immediately report concerns to a trusted adult so that action can be taken quickly. And the school, it all got handled. All right. But it'll happen again somewhere else today, whether it's Kentucky or Arizona or here.
And it's how numb we've become to news just like this, where it doesn't even shock us anymore.
I'm running out of being shocked.
Yep.
What do you say when people around you, not on the air, say we need to ban these firearms? What's your reaction to that? Do you get into it?
Reluctantly. I basically say, well, explain to me what good that will do. We've got gun laws.
Right. Those guys at the transit center at 12:30 in the afternoon are not going to hand in their guns because Fry and the St. Paul mayor say turn them in.
The knee-jerk reaction is twofold. One, it's called gun violence, which is a misnomer. It's human violence. But it's called gun violence, as though that somehow sanitizes somehow and only holds the gun accountable. So it's called gun violence. And the other knee-jerk reaction is that the guns people are reacting to are the guns that look frightening. That's all they're reacting to. They're not reacting to the gun that shot this guy at the transit center.
I repeatedly see the phrase, we're not talking about your uncle's hunting rifle. Well,
we know that.
But you're talking about a firearm, the uncle's hunting rifle, that does the same basic function as the scary-looking rifle.
Every weapon,
every firearm
is an assault weapon.
Yeah.
Every single firearm.
You could argue that weapon. All the way down to a BB gun. It's going to put your eye out.
But it's the video game guns that are so viscerally rejected, and
that's a good way of putting it, Joe.
Understandably, they're
video game.
They're
guns,
evil
right.
looking.
Yeah.
They're video game guns.
Yeah,
and in the hands of a destroyed human being, they're nothing but video game death machines. That's all they are.
And I repeatedly see the phrase that nobody uses these for hunting. Come on out. Let's go after some coyotes. Come on, man. They absolutely are used for hunting.
Say, education. Education is in a little downturn here in Minnesota, and our friends at the American Experiment are trying to do something about it. Less than half of Minnesota students, this is part of your problem, by the way, because in the failed academy, what's happened is that too many people who shouldn't be passed move along to different grades and graduate are moving along to different grades and graduating.
And entering the workforce.
Too many kids in the failed academy are being made less than. But our American Experiment friends are trying to do something about it. They have a program called 7K for Kids. That's a campaign that would give parents control of $7,000 per child per year and let the parents choose the best education for your kid. It could be public, private, charter, homeschool, whatever works. We've tried more money. That doesn't work. We've tried more bureaucracy. That doesn't work. Now it's time to try something that puts families first. Learn more at 7kforkids.com or americanexperiment.org. It's time for a real school choice. An American Experiment wants a better future for Minnesota's children.
Reavers here once again for my guy, Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Well, sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? Well, Mr. Money Talk is going to be able to sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk, never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute, no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608 and set up your free 48-minute, no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.
I am. Yes, he is. It's time to play Love in a Hardware Store.
It really is, isn't it?
Why do we do that?
I don't know.
I don't get the joke.
That's too bad.
It is time to play Love in a Hardware Store. Who are we mad at today?
Yes.
One quick reminder, we want to welcome back to the show the Welter family, welterheating.com. That's the website where you will find out all about the Welter family and over their 100 plus years of service, 4 generations. They are a fantastic company. The telephone is answered by a human being during business hours, 612-825-6867. But Rick and the entire staff over at Welter Heating, they're garage logicians. They understand everything, and they're full of common sense, so much so that they have a blog on their website, welterheating.com, where you can click on that blog, and you might just find the answer to your problem, and it might be a quick, easy fix for you. If not, they have trained technicians that will come out to your home and get that AC unit to put away for the winter or get that heating unit all set. You don't want any of those clanking noises that it was making last year. You were so happy to turn it off. Go with the best, welterheating.com, 612-825-6867. We welcome Rick and the entire family back to Garage Logic on the podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Welter, go online to welterheating.com.
Democrats in the Minnesota legislature are drawing criticism for using this week's deadly attack at Annunciation as a fundraiser. On Friday morning, this past Friday, House DFL caucus sent an email to supporters with the subject line, "We love you, Minnesota, and we're going to do everything we can to end gun violence." All right. Tragedy found this community again this week. The email says gun violence is too familiar to many of us, so please know we're thinking about you. If you need to come back to this email another day, we understand. And that it then proceeds to say, will you sign our petition in support of an assault weapons ban in Minnesota, meaning a video game gun, right? When recipients click on sign the petition link, they are taken to a landing page where they can donate. They are prompted to fill out personal information, then ask, "Can you chip in today?" Well, I'm a bit puzzled. I'm not that naive, but why do they need more money to fund a ban of assault weapons? I mean, they're legislators. Bring it up on the floor and then work on it. Why do they need more money to do it?
They got to get rich somehow, Joe. You don't become a millionaire overnight by doing nothing.
Another page linked in the email invites people to contribute to the Minnesota House DFL and says, "In the face of this tragedy, we will not walk away from our chance to make our state a safer place. Our August goal is to raise $15,000. What they want to make the state safe for is virtually anything under the sun. They want to make the state safe for drag performers to put on a show for kindergartners. They want the state to be safe for anything they dream up.
Right.
I think this is totally off the side. It doesn't mean anything. It's not apropos of this topic. This state will rue the day weed was made legal.
Oh, I completely agree with you.
This will absolutely rue the day this state was made weed legal.
Starting with the people that are trying to open up weed businesses.
Right. How late were you guys ever at the state fair? I know, Johnny, you went to a few concerts, but for you guys,
every time I go to the fair, I stay till about 11 at night.
I was there late once, Chris, and it was a very tawdry ending.
Well, that's what I was going to go with, because Fratelloni and I walked around, and his wife, Nicole, we walked around a little bit on the first Friday we were there. I was there till probably 7:30-ish.
Well, that's not late.
But my point is, once you hit about 6, it's just like a Cheech and Chong episode after that. It just becomes...
it's a Pink Floyd concert.
Yes, exactly.
Well, anyway, the email was signed by the Minnesota House DFL, and Republican operative, I don't know what that means, Dustin Grage wrote.
Well,
is that guy on Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh,
he likes to stir it up.
He thinks he's an operative. He's got a Twitter account. Oh. So,
I'm a traffic operative.
Yeah.
I stir it up with traffic. I call people hoopleheads.
I just think that, the fundraising, I think the timing was a little off.
Or it was right on time and perfectly executed to get people when they're at an emotional low. I think actually it's the opposite of what you said, Joe. It was
perfect timing,
wise and evil all in one.
Yeah. What's this? Please don't use my last name. Okay. I'm with you on the service road of life here, pondering how we prevent these evil people from getting guns. I'm a huge Second Amendment supporter, so I understand the complexity of protecting my rights and the rights of others to freely own guns. Foremost, I would ask someone older than myself, what happened to the state hospitals that once treated the mentally ill? Well, the real shallow version of that is, I think, under the Reagan administration, money was cut from states to fund these so-called state hospitals. As I said yesterday, I would rather spend $1 billion on new state. Well, we had an $18 billion surplus. Right. We've given $1 billion to the Somalis for the food fraud, and we built an unnecessary $1 billion new state office building. If you took $2 billion of that combined $20 billion, $2 billion would have built you what? Good 4 or 5 state hospitals?
Yeah.
But we're so far away from ever believing that anyone should go to a state hospital. There's a beautiful campus on the north side of Wilmer, the town where I grew up, that once housed and treated people, but not in my lifetime. Was it the mystery that decided state hospitals had to go? Well, John, verify the Reagan thing for me, will you?
Okay, sure.
Now those people live and walk among us untreated. We also know that prohibition has never stopped anyone from getting what they want, so legislation is not really worth discussing, in my opinion. Red flag laws, as they've been described, have the potential to trample the civil rights of lawful people, but there has to be a way for concerned people to file a complaint against people like these shooters. It seems like these shooters always give signals when there is serious trouble forthcoming. I also believe we need a system whereby responsible citizens can carry a firearm anywhere they damn well please. I have a permit to carry, but I rarely have a firearm on me because my employer prohibits, and I have school-age kids whose activities bring me to gun-free zones. I would take any level of training and screening that would allow me to carry everywhere I go. I firmly believe the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, and there simply aren't enough police officers in the world. This may not have stopped the shooter at Ascension since the person was outside, but in the case of many mass shootings, an armed citizen could be a lifesaver. No one should be required to carry a firearm, but I'm pretty sure there are plenty who would if they could. I'm sure you'll get more thoughtful and articulate responses, so I'm looking forward to the show. Thank you.
That was very thoughtful and very articulate.
Now, I was discussed last night on the 10 o'clock news the prospect of teachers being armed, and the general view of that in Minnesota is that will not be the case.
Yeah, well, like the emailer said, you can't force that on people. You have to want to take that responsibility. That's a heavy responsibility, too, by the way, carrying a firearm.
It is. And then this terrible event at Annunciation raises another component here. It wouldn't have made any difference if you had security on the inside of the church.
Right.
This lunatic did all his work outside the church, and so rapidly that he was dead before anyone could have made him dead.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a conundrum.
A few months ago, I started getting notices on Facebook of an organization that teaches churches how to properly defend themselves and be ready for that sort of thing.
Like in a class where they go around to different churches, or just one specific church?
Yeah, consultants will come in and teach the congregation and the churchgoers and the pastor how to be ready for anything, because there has been an increase in church shootings in the last 5 years.
I think I'm totally pro having somebody or a couple of the guys that are collecting the baskets, have them a little sidearm just in case something were to happen, because they're always walking around doing something.
How about a big sidearm?
Okay.
Joe, I've been listening to GL all week and your discussions about the horrible shooting. A lot of your discussion is focused around keeping guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them without hurting law-abiding gun owners. I've got a solution that has been roughly ignored by the politicians. I should know. I've been trying to get them. Matt, you got to turn that off, whatever that is. I'm hearing a buzzing that comes from your...
I got nothing.
Well, want to hear it?
That's your hearing aid, Joe.
I don't hear it.
Hello?
Hello.
Where's the party? No, they're going to be okay.
Okay.
You can't. I'm in your head.
Where was I?
You were talking about
talking to me about the buzzing.
You're at work.
This guy's got a solution. He says, I should know. I've been trying to get them.
Read it. I want to know what he's...
Well, if everybody stopped making noises...
I'm trying to listen if there's buzzing.
I'm going to start it over.
Quiet, I'm listening if there's
Tell
buzzing.
Meow what he's saying, meow.
Joe, I've been listening to GL all week and your discussions about the horrible shooting in Minneapolis. A lot of your discussion is focused around keeping guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them without hurting the law-abiding gun owner. I've got a solution that has been roundly ignored by the politicians. I should know. I've been trying to get them to embrace it for 15 years, including testifying at the legislature for 4 years in a row. Now, there's no perfect solution and no solution that will stop all acts of targeted violence, but this is the best way we know how. The solution is Behavioral Threat Assessment and Management, BTAM. Behavioral Threat Assessment and Management. Identifies people of concern and then looks at the entire life of that person of concern, determines what could be driving that person toward violence, and identifies interventions to get that person off the path to violence. BTAM teams, if they determine somebody has a lot of risk factors, can work to leverage existing firearm laws to keep that person from purchasing firearms or to remove them from that person's possession. The family would take them, for instance, all without penalizing moral and ethical law-abiding gun owners. It's a scalpel approach to a problem that works versus a grenade. BTAM is practiced by the U.S. Secret Service, is considered the best way to prevent targeted violence by the FBI and the American Psychological Association and many other organizations. Yet, our state legislature has ignored attempts to build out community-based and school-based BTAM programs. I helped work on the state's targeted violence prevention strategy with the Minnesota BCA that was pushed out by the governor's office in March. But the state still has a long way to go to resource and fund this program. The BCA has established a BTAM team. That's Behavioral Threat Assessment and Management. But it's significantly understaffed and under-resourced. My bona fides recently retired as commander staff at a local police department, one of the first certified threat managers in the country in 2015 through the Association of Threat Assessment Professionals. Co-founded the first community-based BTAM team in the state in 2015, did that in Washington County, and spent the last 3.5 years of my career assigned to FBI Minneapolis's Joint Terrorism Task Force, working to prevent targeted violence and terrorism. For more info on BTM, here's a great document from the FBI. And then he linked me to it. Much respect, Randy, thank you. I wish, Randy, would you write me again or tell me how to reach you? I'd love to talk to you on the air. For example, how does the behavioral threat assessment and management get introduced to a specific human being? What would bring about what would bring about someone saying to someone, "Oh, you are a candidate for a BTAM"? How does that work? I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
Like we discussed yesterday, why weren't the authorities alerted to this young man years and years ago when he was obviously showing
what
antisocial signs?
What if, because this guy is not this emailer is not necessarily mentioning guns.
Right.
He's saying, we have ways to determine if a young person is prone to violence or is forecasting a future of violence. We can step in at an early moment and help.
The one thing is, though, they need to be alerted to that person.
Right, but the parents, what if BTAMs were more common, we had more knowledge of them, and we saw the wisdom in using them? What if those parents had that tool 10 years ago? You know, Robert, I know you want to become Robin, and we've read some of your writings, and I find them terribly disturbing. And I'm your father, and I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to help. You're going to have a behavioral assessment, and if the kid says no, I'm going to say no. You're having one, whether you like it or not. You're having one. What if that was available? That would have been fantastic.
If, in fact, the parents had read those writings, but I contend the kid was keeping those things secret from the people that mattered.
Okay, so what's the top 5 things? What are the top 5 red flags? Divorced parents, I would say, would be one, regardless of whether it's amicable or not.
But, Matt, you can't just go in, come crashing in and say you fit all 5 clarification.
I'd agree with that, but where do you start, though?
Somebody's got to alert the people at the BTAM organization.
It sounds like it's a function of the BCA, but they don't have, again, with the public demanding more and more money, I suppose it'd take a lot of money to develop, an office full of these BTAM experts.
I'd love him to come on the program. I want to know why he was rejected at the state level. Yeah. Is it easier to just call on a ban on firearms than it is to actually chase down the problem and deal with it?
Of course, because it's a mess. The mystery is made that we're trying to clean up, and they're not much help in cleaning it up.
Institutions, Joe. You asked about...
yes.
Apparently, the deinstitutionalization started in 1978 during President Carter's term, Mental Health Systems Act, but that also put together a plan to take care of the deinstitutionalized. Then when Ronald Reagan was elected, he came in and his Omnibus Act took away all the funding to take care of the people who ended up then, of course, out on the streets with nothing to treat them with. So there were no hospitals, and if there were going to be, the president, Ronald Reagan, said they had to be run by the states, but at the time, the states didn't have the money. So that's why
we also had one in Fergus Falls.
Yeah.
St. Peter.
Yeah, they
Wilmer.
were all over. Back to the BTAM for a second. Wouldn't every single gang member qualify?
Yes.
And then what do you do when the system is overloaded with these gang members? You put them all in some sort of psychiatric care? What happens here? I really want that guy to come on. Fascinating topic.
Well, again, to their everlasting credit, the gang members...
Yeah, don't go there.
Yeah.
A life is a life.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to diminish the life. I was going to say that...
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find a lot of disagreement. It just comes off as very crass.
That's me, What do you
That's just Joe.
I'm speaking to you for Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys. And if you're like me and many other people, you may not know what to do if you're ever injured in an accident. I mean, I got the card in my glove box.
Right.
I know who to call. God forbid I haven't had to yet.
I don't want you to.
But then I suppose I'll end up dealing with insurance companies and adjusters, and that can be difficult. And that's where Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant steps in with his team. They'll explain your rights, represent you, and help you through that time that can be difficult. Mike's been around a long time. He's recognized as a super lawyer. He's been named among Minnesota's top 40 personal injury lawyers by Minnesota Law and Politics. Bradshaw and Bryant hopes you're never in an accident, but if you are, call Bradshaw and Bryant at 800-770-7008. They can become one of your GL guys. They're your lawyer guy. Or go to minnesotapersonalinjury.com. Your case evaluation is free. Don't be part of the problem. Don't text and drive or drive distracted. That's just common sense from Bradshaw and Bryant.
Hey, Garage Logicians. Stick around for a preview of American Experiment's latest podcast with Grace Keating and Katherine Johnson. This week we talk walls at Farmfest, marijuana mayhem, and Trump's efforts to clean up D.C.
So Walz was at Farmfest. This was his triumphant return to the agriculture event. Bill, for our listeners who don't know what Farmfest is, explain it to us.
Yeah, it's a 3-day agriculture expo in southern Minnesota. It's kind of grown over the years. So just think trade show in the ag business. So the Farmfest audience is very conservative now. So it's not a Bennett-friendly place for Tim Walz. It's a little bit hostile for him in greater Minnesota. You can see that electorally, and it gets shown when he comes to Farmfest.
And it's interesting given his kind of public persona when it came to being on the campaign trail with Kamala, because one of the things they really liked about Tim Walz, I think, was that sort of like rural thing he tried to have going on. They had those camo hats, remember? And then, when he actually goes to Farmfest, and has to debate Scott Jensen, the crowd was not on his side.
Yeah, and can you blame them? I mean, he did try to put out this like man of the people, rural personality, camo hat, Coach Tim Walz. That was the persona he was cultivating. And then he would turn around at home in Minnesota and say, there's just rocks and cows out there. Who cares about those people? I mean, these people at Farmfest are those people that he claims to hate because they're all Trump supporters.
Yeah, he's kind of in conflict with his own past because he grew up on a farm. He's legit. I mean, he grew up on a farm. His family's a farmer, not in Minnesota, but he grew up on a farm. He represented farm country in Congress. Certainly, the first district in Minnesota is mostly rural, mostly agricultural, including. Well, I don't know. It used to be when he was there, but Farmfest is the location. I think it's in the 7th congressional, but I think it used to be in the 5th or the 1st. I'm sorry, southern Minnesota. So, but I think as a politician, he wants to be in with the cool kids, the cool liberal kids, like his Lieutenant Governor Flanagan and the teachers union. I mean, ultimately, Tim Walz is a union teacher. Mm-hmm. That's who he really is. He's not a farmer. I mean, he grew up on the farm, but I think if you asked him or if you really looked into his soul, he's a union teacher.
That was a quick preview of the content you'll find on the American Experiment podcast. Come check out the rest of our conversation at americanexperiment.org/podcast or by searching American Experiment Podcast on YouTube or any major podcasting platform. New episodes drop every Tuesday afternoon. See you soon.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
My ex-girlfriend sang this one very well. Nobody does it better.
Sheena.
Nope. Talking about seafoam. And we're talking about preventing all the usual common engine problems. Look at the drooling coming from the morons that I work with. Seafoam motor treatment will make it run better. It'll give you peace of mind knowing that your good old set of wheels is always up to the task, whether it's 100 yards or 1,000 miles. If you think that vehicle is stumbling, choking, running on 7 or 5 or whatever of the available cylinders, drop in some seafoam before heading to the mechanic. Meanwhile, give that daily driver, I just answered an email yesterday, give it a big healthy gulp every now and then, once a month. Keep it happy. Seafoam is made with safe ingredients, cannot harm your engine, and will only help. And it doesn't matter what that equipment is, small engine, large engine, gas, diesel, Seafoam is always the answer. It revives and it keeps it alive. It's a wonderful product in a world of bad gas. It's our best friend, Seafoam.
John Heidt, would you please take over?
I will. This news is brought to you by North American Banking Company, and I wouldn't be FYI if I didn't tell Rookie that Sheena Easton didn't sing. Nobody does it better. Carly Simon did.
Thank you, John. I knew I could count on you.
What did Sheena sing?
So, Matt, we're doing the news.
In the news.
Physical.
Okay.
Did I say North American Banking Company?
You did, Johnny.
Brings
Thank
us
you.
this news. Okay.
Thank you.
Vice President J.D. Vance, the second lady, in Minneapolis today to pay respects to the victims of the Annunciation church shooting. Vice President Vance and his wife, Second Lady Usha Vance, will also take part in a number of private meetings with the families of those affected by the shooting. The visit will mark 1 week since 2 children were killed, 21 people injured in the shooting at the church in southwest Minneapolis.
Do we know when he will be there?
I did not see a time. I looked early this morning. I have not
because that'll be a real traffic headache over there.
Wasn't that always our stance, though? Is that when Kenny knew the cameras were up, we never really mentioned anything like that?
There's
do they do that for the VP, too?
A lot of cameras turned off right now on the Strip and on Post Highway 5 and on the Crosstown and on 35.
Why would the cameras be turned off?
Security. Well, maybe you could figure that out on your own off the air so I don't get in trouble with...
When I left the airport to come here, there was a State Patrol helicopter that was hovering.
Is that why you were getting a phone call?
Probably. They're probably telling me
there are Twitter accounts that delight in giving away the every movement of the president and vice president when they come to
I respect you for not doing that.
I am not one of those.
John Heidt with the news.
Not interested.
Story we talked about earlier, you did, Joe. St. Paul police say a student arrested yesterday after he allegedly brought a gun to Johnson High School on the first day of class. St. Paul Police Department spokeswoman Alyssa Arcand said officers responded to the report around 9:30 in the morning. Staff had apprehended the juvenile student and secured the gun by the time police got there. Student arrested and booked into juvenile detention on probable cause gun possession charges. Pioneer Press reporting Ramsey County officials. Anybody here live in Ramsey County?
Ooh, I do.
You do, yeah. Okay, well, Ramsey County officials are proposing increases of 9.75% in 2026 and 7.5% in 2027 to the property tax levy.
Kidding me?
As part of the county's budget.
Is that 7 point or 0.7?
Well, it'd be 0.75, but it's 7.5%.
What's your source for this story?
This came in the Pioneer Press, Joe, a paper you may know.
I do.
You know that paper.
But isn't that funny? It's the old union trick. 2026, 9.75, but then in 27 it's only going to be 7% because it's on top of the 9.75 the year prior. That's 16% in 2 years.
Holy crap. The proposed budget totals for 2026, $929.25 million. That's a 6.57 increase from the 2025 supplemental budget of $848.5. The 2027 proposed budget of $968.45 million is a 4.2% increase from 2026. County Manager Ling Becker said at yesterday's county board meeting, county governments cannot operate as if it were business as usual. We're navigating rising costs, limited revenue growth, and increasing demand for services while facing deep uncertainty from federal and state budget pressures. This budget responds directly to those realities.
So what does that mean? Is he defending the 9.75 and 7%?
Yes. Definitely defending, I would say. Wouldn't you say that's what that comment meant?
Yeah.
Not virtually, entirely. No concept whatsoever of cutting themselves back. They just get to continue growing.
Do you know what I made an observation also driving in today? If you look at every bus stop we have, remember when we used to just have an uncomfortable bench out there? Every bus stop now is a shelter that has heat, electricity, and they're making these Cadillac bus stops.
You're absolutely right,
It
Matthew.
used to just be a bench. Now
just
it's
a lonely, skanky bench.
Yeah, now if you
with
look
a hobo sleeping on it.
Marshall, Snelling, wherever you look, they're unbelievable. It's a lot of money.
John, did you give the I know you gave the forecast for next year and the year after that. Did you do the years prior to?
Chris, you read my mind. I was just going to say, now I did look back see the old years.
Holy crap.
In 2025, they raised it 4.75%. In 2024, 6.8%. In 2023, 4.5%. So in those 5 years, it's a
no
steep
concept whatsoever of acknowledging the people who live in St. Paul and have to pay these taxes. Zero acknowledgement whatsoever.
That's almost a 10% increase.
Mm-hmm. And the county manager says it's not business as usual.
Yes, it is.
I'm not even going to make fun of you, Joe, because this is highway robbery. This is absolutely criminal what they're doing. Wow.
I'm aware of that.
Okay. Sorry. You're welcome.
Where do you go in the metro to avoid that?
We'll take you in Scott County.
Where's old Joe going to move to?
Andover, Joe, taxes are, they're fine.
No John, problem. Will you continue?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Before Joe kills us all.
In other news, St. Paul's largest multipurpose arena officially now has its new name. The home of the Wild and Minnesota Frost is now Grand Casino Arena, effective today. Minnesota Sports and Entertainment, which operates the venue, announced the new naming rights back in June. The 14-year deal with Grand Casino Mille Lacs and Grand Casino Hinckley means new signage throughout the arena, although the large sign on top of the arena won't be replaced until next week. Xcel Energy, the arena's naming rights sponsor since it opened in 2000, says it will continue its relationship with the Wild as a business and community partner.
You know, I do love my family, and I've spent a lot of money on education over the years. But concerning that venue, I was texted today, just failed because I was looking up Jason Aldean's set list, and it said it was at Grand Casino Arena, and I was like, crap, I thought it was at the X.
Whoops.
Yep.
Well, there's two problems there. First, you're checking out Jason Aldean's song list. Okay. Anyway, let's move along here.
That's the main concern.
The word like.
Yeah, she did.
Not that I'm trying to lead the witness, but can I make a prediction on what you perhaps might be writing about tomorrow?
No.
Yeah.
And it looks like the weather and the traditions outweighed the rising costs at the Minnesota State Fair. Final attendance numbers were announced yesterday, and overall attendance was up this year from last year's event. Last year, we had about 1.926 million people. This year, 1.940 went to the gates during the 12-day event.
Well, I was wrong. My pre-fair vibe was totally wrong, and I'm grateful for that.
The final day actually was not good. Usually it is good, and the weather was great, but about 25,000 fewer people attended this year on the last day. The attendance record for the final day of the fair was set in 2019 with 184,000. Yesterday, as I said, 175,000. Remember, only 357 more days till next year's state fair.
He doesn't need to do that, Joe. That's an unnecessary addition.
Well, he does that, Chris. He thinks it's funny.
Do you guys seriously think, though, because I, just monitoring social media, I thought there was a lot more incidents both inside and around the fairgrounds this year that maybe
I never heard of one kerfuffle.
Are you kidding?
No, I don't pay attention to Twitter.
Oh. Okay.
I saw the only thing I saw was the protest. Other than that, I didn't see anything.
I saw several instances of fighting inside the fairgrounds.
Oh,
in fact, one was right by Andy's Grill.
In daylight?
No, this was during night hours.
7 o'clock at night?
No, it was dark out, so 8.
Were they girl fights?
No.
Those are always brutal.
There was one that looked pretty bad, and unfortunately, there was kids that were around the area too, which was not good. So
I was there 2 nights, and it seemed quite mild both nights.
Okay,
walking around after
I'll
the
help them run.
So, why don't we take a break, and we'll come back with more news after
Make this a crystal clear spot.
With the siren going on in the background.
I hear buzzing. Is there buzzing?
Hey, you know what? If your property taxes are rising, you need to get the best quality water inside your... Why do I got to do that to you, Joe? I'm sorry. I shouldn't be doing that to you. But you know what you need to find out? What is your water score? Because if you are living in the city, living in the country, whatever the case might be, you want the best quality water. And finding out what your water score is essential to figuring that out. And that's why my friends at Hofferman Water and Connecticut are here for you to figure out the best solutions to get the highest quality of water. And I'm living proof. You know what? I started out as a customer of Hofferman Water and Connecticut, and that's what developed this relationship. And I'm so happy that I decided to make the switch. And that's because a new system from Connecticut and Hofferman Water can do so many things that other water softeners just simply cannot do. It is going to cut down on your salt usage, but it's also going to protect your appliances. And listen, once you get that new system installed, your showers are going to get better. So is your laundry, so is your drinking water, so is your cooking. Everything gets better with Hofferman Water and Connecticut. But your first step is getting on the schedule to have them come up for that free water analysis. And you can do that one of 2 ways. Dial them up at 612-895-2440 or go to their website and visit HoffermanWater.com. And as long as you're on that website, you can see every single water treatment system that they have to offer. Once again, 612-895-2440 or visit HoffermanWater.com. Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Please do me a favor and mention that you heard about them here on the Garage Logic Podcast.
Joe Souchere, the keeper of common sense.
Here's the guy to talk about ProTurf.
Oh.
I can do it.
Yikes. Wow.
You know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of fall, and I was
You're thinking about Rookie.
all the things I do in the fall.
Got to buy a Cadillac.
The pollen dies off in the fall. The leaves change. There's hunting. Hey, you guys ever gone walleye fishing with frogs? You do that in the fall. Fall is the best. It's also perfect for root development and putting in landscape items and getting that junky old yard of yours ship shape. And that's where ProTurf, the landscape team, comes in. They can work with you to reinvigorate that mess you call a backyard. Get in touch with them today. That's at professionalturf.com. And let's get that landscaping project done before the snow flies. We're talking about professional designs by certified designers. And it could be anything. You don't have to make it complicated. It could be really simple. Maybe a paver driveway or a wall. Pull out those old nasty bushes and put in some nice flowers. Retaining walls? Sure. Anything. Plant beds? Yeah. And we have a state fair special going on. I realize the fair is over, but the special is still running. You hook up with ProTurf, you can either get a free 6-foot Colorado spruce or a 2-inch sugar maple with any project of over $4,000. We're talking a value of $650. That's significant. So log on to professionalturf.com, fill out that free estimate, and get started. Get that landscape party started. Professionalturf.com.
Joe, I'd like to weigh in on behalf of a loyal town council member talking about property tax talk.
I wasn't talking about property taxes. Heidt had a news item about it.
Hans just says, cue the ad to Joe for Sioux Falls.
And let's go.
Yeah.
Well, remember now, Joe, these are only proposals.
I know.
Right. They're not set in stone yet. In fact, you could go to some meetings and say, excuse me.
I've been to those meetings, John.
Didn't work out for you?
Are they productive?
No.
No. Oh, well, so then forget it. Let's move on to national and international news. While Vladimir Putin observed the Chinese military parade alongside Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un from North Korea, he unleashed one of the most devastating assaults on Ukraine throughout the entire conflict. A missile and drone barrage forced NATO to scramble fighter jets in areas along the Ukrainian border. Russian forces hammered Kyiv in more than a dozen separate locations, destroying civilian infrastructure and railway systems, causing massive train disruptions in the city. The sweeping attack unfolded even as President Trump expressed being very disappointed with Putin. He accused the three dictators witnessing the largest military showcase in history in Beijing of conspiring against the United States.
You know what I might do is just start calling the fire department. Have them come out.
Get your money's worth.
Just some service, you know.
How you doing,
I'm
fellas?
lonely.
Yeah.
I just want to see a truck, you know, and maybe then cops, paramedics, just, how you guys doing? Everything all right?
You want to get your money's
Kick
worth.
some tires.
I just want some service, just to see how it's getting along, you know.
State of Florida announcing this morning it will end all state vaccine mandates, including those for children. For decades, the state has required numerous vaccines for kids attending school, including shots that protect against measles, mumps, rubella, polio, chickenpox, and hepatitis B. But this morning, Surgeon General for Florida, Joseph Lapido, compared those mandates to slavery and promised that they all will soon end. He didn't provide any specifics as far as dates go. According to the World Health Organization, vaccines like those have saved at least 154 million lives in the last 50 years, including those of children. The vast majority, in fact, the WHO says, were infants.
Speaking of Florida, and didn't DeSantis just say that he's trying to get rid of the property tax?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I thought I saw that this morning.
No idea. None.
Okay.
Joe's mood has changed.
Yes, it has.
I have no idea.
Okay.
He's just going 975 2026 975.
I don't care. I don't care. I'll be like everyone else in St. Paul. I don't care.
Yeah. I don't care.
That's not incentive for me to move to Florida. As much as I hate property taxes,
Sure.
I'm not moving to Florida.
The House Oversight and Government Reform Committee yesterday made public a batch of files it said it received from the Justice Department in response to its subpoena for documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. All the materials released yesterday, though, were already available to the committee and the public. House Oversight Committee ranking member Robert Garcia, a Democrat from California, said the overwhelming majority were already public, and said other Democrats on the panel say the move is an attempt to prolong the disclosures to thwart the subpoena. The disclosure comes as House GOP leaders are trying to squash a rebellion by GOP members who are demanding more action to release Epstein material, which had roiled the House in July. Today, the committee, House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, is hearing from Epstein victims. U.S. military carried out a strike against what President Trump said was a drug-carrying boat from Venezuela. The strike escalates tensions with that country's authoritarian government just days after the Pentagon deployed warships to the Caribbean to stop the flow of cocaine. The president later posted on social media he had ordered the strike on positively identified narco-terrorists from the Tren de Aragua cartel, operating a small boat carrying drugs to the U.S. The strike resulted in the deaths of 11 terrorists, according to the president. Venezuela's communication minister, Freddy Nanez, in a post on X, alleged that the video of the boat strike was fake and generated by artificial intelligence. Speaking of AI, follow-up to a story we had yesterday, President Trump dismissing that viral video showing the object being thrown from a White House window as, quote, probably AI-generated, despite officials earlier claiming it was a contractor performing routine maintenance at the White House. Trump told reporters gathered in the Oval Office the video has got to be fake because the White House's bulletproof windows are sealed shut and very heavy. His assessment had come just hours after the White House told Newsweek magazine that it was a contractor doing regular maintenance in the president's absence. The president went on to tell reporters a story in which he said First Lady Melania Trump recently complained that she wanted fresh air from an open window in the White House, then replied, "But you can't. They're bulletproof. You have to be pretty strong to open them up, too. They're very heavy." The White House has yet to address the discrepancy between its statements and Trump's remarks in the Oval Office.
I wouldn't want to live there if I couldn't open the windows.
Right.
Crack a window.
Air it
out.
Business News notes, Kraft Heinz announced yesterday it's splitting into two companies. The move ends a decade-long merger spearheaded by investment company Berkshire Hathaway and Brazilian private equity firm 3G Capital. When Kraft and Heinz merged in 2015, their $46 billion deal was the most expensive in the food industry at the time. Since then, health-conscious American consumers have trended away from processed foods, while budget-conscious consumers have turned to store-brand alternatives. Kraft Heinz's challenges follow a broader trend of packaged food conglomerates struggling to retain clientele, with Keurig, Dr. Pepper, and Kellogg similarly dividing their businesses. And denim brand Levi Strauss is warning that growing international backlash against President Trump could negatively affect its sales and those of other U.S. companies. In a recent filing with the United Kingdom's National Business Registry, the California-based company noted the risk of rising anti-Americanism as a consequence of the Trump tariffs and governmental policies. Levi's warned that this could increasingly push consumers in the UK away from American goods and toward non-American alternatives. From the, this is a weird story, and growing up Catholic, I didn't know if I should bring it in, but it's just too weird not to mention, at least. A disgraced Catholic priest who filmed himself having sex with a pair of dominatrixes on a church altar is set to get his electronics back years after he was arrested for the incident. Travis Clark now, of course, is the former pastor at Saints Peter and Paul Catholic Church in Pearl River, about 40 miles north of New Orleans. He now is supposed to get back, according to the court, any cell phones, tablets, computers, gaming consoles, flash drives, and memory cards seized by cops as they investigated the 2020 episode.
I am stuck in a pair of handcuffs.
He was this close.
The electronics will be wiped clean of all data prior to their return, according to The Guardian. Clark, who voluntarily left the clergy, pleaded guilty to a felony obscenity charge for filming the tryst with two dominatrixes, Empress Ming and Lady Vi.
Oh, Empress Ming.
So
Lady Vi.
What's the difference between lady and empress? Is there a... Do we have a protocol?
Empress is pretty high.
Like a hierarchy. You're asking for the hierarchy.
Yes.
Lady Vi also.
I didn't know you were so schooled in the hierarchy.
Well, I happen to know the Empress is higher than the lady.
Yes, your friend told me.
Right.
Answer me this then, sir. It's illegal to film that stuff?
Well,
I don't know.
I think they were charged, as we'll find later in the story, Kenny, with
trespassing.
Other things. Yes, thank you, Rook. Lady Vi also answers to the name. This is tough to say. Satan-a-trix, like Satan-a-trix.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think the reason there was trespassing is it wasn't his house.
See, an empress can never be a Satan or Satan-trix.
It's tough to say.
Satantrix?
Because the empress is above that.
Got it. Okay.
By trespassing, do they mean like trespassing somewhere on his body?
Jesus.
No, in the
Kenny,
church.
they mean in the church.
Oh,
That guy, hopefully if you were baptized by that guy, you got to go.
that's
you gotta
not
go
a
back.
door. That's
That
a
guy's not an American. He's an American hater.
American hater. Yes. Father dumbass.
The priest's after-hour shenanigans were revealed when a curious parishioner driving by noticed bright lights coming from inside the church.
Nosy Nelly, huh?
That's right. The nosy Nelly
Karen.
stopped and caught the priest with his two dominatrixes, started filming them, and called police. The women, Kenny...
Don't you at least go to a motel or something? I mean,
Right.
why are
You don't want to do that there.
It's a bad scene.
Don't you think the kinky part to the priest, Chris, might have been the altar?
I think that's you're messing with bad. What do you call it? Bad juju.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't.
The women pleaded guilty, Kenny, the same year to institutional vandalism and received probation. And that's when everything was seized. The stage lights, sex toys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Stage light?
I have to admit, I got really bored with that story, and I kind of zoned out there for the last couple of minutes.
Well, John, thank you for that. Very
It
disturbing.
is very.
Yes.
Let's
That
go
it then?
ahead.
I got a nun story.
No,
if
that's,
you'd like.
I don't want any more of that. No,
Yeah,
we're
that's
done.
enough for you.
It's a good nun
I
story.
know,
I'll
done.
save it for tomorrow.
That's enough for you falling away Catholic.
Have it tomorrow.
You can get him.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
In response to the tragedy at Annunciation Catholic Church/School, GL wants to once again highlight the important work of our first responders by throwing our support behind the Frontline Foundation, many who ran towards danger to help those in need. And here's the thing, the Frontline Foundation exists to support those brave men and women in their time of need, no matter what that is, including the payout of death benefits to families when a first responder dies in the line of duty and makes the ultimate sacrifice for others. So let's make sure our first responders know that all of you GLers have their backs. Here's how you can help to make a difference. Go to garagelogic.com/donate. That's garagelogic.com/donate. And you can also find more information online at the website, which is, of course, garagelogic.com.
Wonderful.
Yes. They do amazing work at the Frontline Foundation. So also, if you want their website, it's just thefrontlinemn.org. That's the Frontline Foundation's website.
Illinois' Governor, J.B. Pritzker, is their own Tim Walz. And he, now, how recent are these remarks?
I believe this took place, the video was posted yesterday.
Okay, because Chicago had a dreadful Labor Day weekend. I think 6 dead and 70 shot.
Yes.
And the governor has this to say about that.
You're going to hear people, especially this past weekend, 54 shot, 7 dead.
Yeah.
They're going to say, the city's not safe. Would you ask your friends to ride the L after midnight or after, 9 o'clock at night even to come down to the city from O'Hare?
Look, big cities have crime. There's no doubt about it. But let's just pay attention to what President Trump is doing targeting Chicago. He's overlooking red states that have much higher crime rates.
So this is a Trump deal. We learned yesterday that in 2010, Democratic legislators in Illinois called for the National Guard.
Right. Don't mind what's going on here. Let's blame the orange man.
And Ilhan is still worth
$30 million.
Say the teacher of the year, a teacher of the year from years ago, 2016, 2017, is Abdul Wright. I think his name is Abdul Wright. Let me look at this. His trial just wrapped up for sexually abusing a student. Abdul Wright was charged with criminal sex conduct last year after the student's mother told police that her daughter had been sexually abused beginning in January of 2017. That's about the time this guy was named Teacher of the Year. That's a teachers union award. I have nowhere to go with this except he had to be Teacher of the Year at the same time he was abusing this child an alleged 50 times over the course of several months. And I don't know what the sentence will end up being, but I wonder what determines if you're Teacher of the Year, because this guy doesn't have a very good record. So There you have it. Teacher of the Year, Abdul.
In fact, I was trying to find it, but there is a cell phone video recording of him pleading with the mother to not go through with the prosecution.
Oh. Say, yesterday, I don't know, does Kelsey ever go outside? Jordy, those guys ever go outside?
Sits on his ass and is on his computer trying to do our show prep.
Well, he does the work that John started to get done yesterday.
Jordy has been very helpful.
I know. I'm
not ripping him.
I'm not either. Does he have a life?
Keep doing my work for me, bro.
I don't care as long as he keeps sending me emails.
Okay, you'll remember yesterday, Jacqueline Johnson was the first recipient of a Walter Lillihei heart surgery.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the age of 5, and we were wondering how long she lived. And John, you got as far as what?
She went home. She was fine 11 days after she went home, and she was fine then. But I never got to a death or anything later.
Well, according to the U of M's children's site, she was still alive as of 2012. That's 60 years after her surgery. Now, Kelsey, offside correspondent, has not been able to confirm her current status. So there's a picture of her here. She appeared doomed to die of a heart defect until a doctor operated on her while her temperature was dropped to 79 degrees. The girl is shown putting on her roller skates. Dr. Lewis gave her when she left the hospital. So Lewis worked on that along with Lillihei. And there's a picture of her here putting on her roller skates. And she, as of 2012, she was still alive. I hope you still are, young lady.
Same. It's so amazing, the advancements in the heart surgeries.
Yeah.
What was once scary is now routine.
And I think Kelsey's probably going to have a lot more time knowing that his family's going to inherit the Swift money. Taylor Swift.
Right.
Getting engaged with the Kelsey family.
Okay, that was a stretch.
That really was.
Oh, yeah.
It's different spelling.
Normally I'm on board with Joe.
You know what? That was horrible. That was just
get us back
horrible.
on track and talking about hearts. A guy at a stock car race this summer died when he pulled in. It pulled in after a race into the pits. He was dead. They cut the roof off of that car. They pulled him out of there. They got him back alive doing CPR, flew him to St. Cloud, cracked him open, did all their magic. He's coming back and racing next year. Wow. He was
They
dead,
zapped him
Joe.
and he came back?
He was dead.
And that's at a racetrack.
Yeah.
With a paramedic van.
Yeah.
Similarly, that also happened at the baseball tournament 2 weekends ago. Same deal.
It's so amazing.
It was either first base coach or third base coach. He collapsed on the field, and they brought I think it was Broughton, the city of Broughton.
It's really imperative that we have these AEDs everywhere, and now Play for Patrick is putting them and giving them out, including ones that can be outside in the weather. They're in a climate-controlled box type of situation. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's really amazing, the advancements in that area.
Only because they come to us all the way from Marloth Park in Mpumalanga Province, South Africa, from the Traveling Lymans. WorldwideWaftage.com. It was on this day.
Joe, today is September 3rd.
In 1783,
a long time ago,
the Treaty of Paris was signed, ending both the Revolutionary War and, in theory, British control of what is now eastern Minnesota. In fact, British trading posts remained in the region until after the War of 1812. It was on this day.
On September 3rd.
In 1849, for its first meeting, the territory's Legislative Assembly convened in the Central House, located at Minnesota and Bench Streets in St. Paul. The Reverend Edward D. Neal gave the invocation, and the council met in the parlor while the House sat in the dining room. Boy, government was about the right size then, wasn't it? On this day.
So did they know serious question, in 1849, did they know that we were eventually going to become a state?
Well,
it was just a matter of time.
They were angling for it.
Okay.
On this day.
September 3rd.
In 1860, the state's first normal school opened in Winona. with 2 teachers and 20 students.
Yeah.
Normal schools were 2-year colleges dedicated to training teachers. They were called normal schools.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. On this day,
September 3rd.
In 1883, you didn't go to a normal school.
I didn't go to a normal school. I wonder if any relatives, though. We had a lot of Polish relatives that lived in Winona.
On this day,
September 3rd.
In 1883, a celebration in St. Paul marked the impending completion of the Northern Pacific Railroad from St. Paul to the Pacific coast. The road was actually completed on September 8. Guests included Railroad President Henry Villard, President Chester A. Arthur, Ulysses S. Grant, and General Phil Sheridan.
Nice lineup.
It was a big deal, wasn't it?
Sheesh.
Boy. On this day,
September 3rd.
In 2002, the historic Stillwater State Prison burned down, foiling developers' plans to convert the building into condos and apartments.
Wait, that was a plan?
Yeah, well, that would have been.
Come on down. And,
it would have been a neat location because
Set
it
her
was
on
kind of
fire.
nestled in a hollow.
Oh.
You know, it was kind
Do
of.
you want to buy a condo at a prison?
Joe, I think we call that a holler.
A holler. It was nestled in the holler.
Right there.
On this day in Minnesota sports disappointment history.
September 3rd.
Well, on this day in 1994, PSU. What's that?
PSU, pal.
Yeah.
Penn State University.
Oh, maybe that's it. Beat the Gophers 56-3.
Row the boat.
Kai Jana Carter ran 210 yards, virtually untouched.
Kajana Carter.
What
What'd
year
I
was
say?
that?
Chai Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Rodriguez.
What
Kai
year was
Jana.
that, Joe?
1994, Ken.
That was before Row the Boat. Dang
Yes. Kajana
Carter.
Did he go on to the NFL?
He was like, I think the second overall pick.
Well, I had never heard of him. Yeah, but he didn't
He was
have
a good
much
player.
of a career.
He was a good player.
Why do you know this stuff?
I
that
don't
makes
know.
me angry.
I
at
know
you.
it does. That's kind of why I said it.
Yeah, but on this day,
On September 3rd,
2006,
I have the clip.
let's hear it. Bert Blyleven, Bert Blyleven dropped an F-bomb on live TV.
Rodriguez, and then the American League batting title. Joe Mauer, 2 for 5 so far in the series against Jeter. We're going to do this fucking thing over again because I just fucked
Whoa, Bert. Whoa, the kids. My grandma.
Come on,
And then
Bert.
he goes,
Gail, his wife.
There's shut-ins watching
The
this.
best part, though, is he goes.
And Torrey Hunter has.
No, I don't want to hear it again.
LaPanta was the play-by-play guy because
Definitely
Bramer
LaPanta.
was off, and he goes, Bert, we're live. Oh!
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me before.
On this day,
Hit it into the water.
on this day,
September 3rd.
in 2016,
What happened?
the Vikings traded for Sam Bradford after Teddy Bridgewater had a life-threatening leg injury.
I know.
That occurred doing absolutely nothing except backing up a little bit.
Kenny, you want to know something?
No.
Sam Bradford was the number 1 overall pick, and Teddy Bridgewater was 32nd.
I don't know who any of those people are.
Do you know who Tommy Bradford is?
Me?
Yeah.
No, of course not.
Okay, thank you.
Teddy Bridgewater is he still in uniform?
In fact, I believe he just re-signed with somebody, right, Johnny?
He's the backup for somebody he just re-signed. He played a bunch during the exhibition season.
And he was
You guys know who T.J. Patrick is, or Bob Elsner, or Jim Dimmerman, or any of
Professional
those?
bowlers.
They drive cars, I'll bet.
Snowmobiles.
Snowmobiles.
Joe, do you know who Tom Bradford Sr.
No, I
is?
don't, Matt. I don't.
Tommy
You know who
Bradford
Bob
Jr.
Hammond is?
No,
Jeff
Tommy
Ward?
Bradford Jr. was an employee of Cluck and Chuck. And Tom Bradford Sr. was a newspaper columnist that had 8 kids, and you know what? 8 was enough.
Cluck and Chuck.
He worked at Cluck and Chuck. It was the fast foods place. Tommy Bradford.
Thank you, G.
Tommy Bradford Jr.
No, just
Didn't
a minute.
you think you'd know a fellow columnist
just
in
a
the
minute.
industry?
Just a minute.
I had you pegged for a Bradford fan.
Your life is it's been
Nicholas.
I'd say ruined, but it hasn't been ruined. It's been shaped.
Blessed.
No, not blessed. It's been shaped by some of the worst.
He was mad when Sandy, the one daughter, became a stripper. That was a pretty hot episode, though. As a youth, you were like, hey, she's not that bad.
This is a show called 8 is Enough.
It was enough, yeah. He had 8 kids. The mom died, and then Abby came by, the stepmom. There were all sorts of...
Wasn't that Dick Van Patten, right?
Dick Van Patten.
Was the star?
My father-in-law couldn't stand him because he was always such a crabby dad on that show.
I never saw
Ed Keeger Sr. was always like, he's just a mean dad.
Never saw one. Teddy's with Tampa Bay, fellas.
Got it.
Good, we got that solved.
There we go.
I feel like I just did a sit-up.
That's just, that's a shame. Goodbye. Thank you.
There's a bunch of homemade wishes on the kitchen window pane, and 8 is enough
Rookie,
to fill our lives.
You earned your pay today.
Thank you. I'm done for the week. Please taking Thursday, Friday off with pay.
Please do us a favor and find Garage Logic on YouTube, where you could have watched the disappointment in the mayor's face at the end of the program
It was
today.
like he was J-class sailing on the lake, and the wind went out of his sail.
My goodness gracious. But yeah, just search Garage Logic on YouTube, and you can find us
Clock and Chuck
on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
We got it all, don't we?
And you can also sign up for the Daily Logician. That's an email that comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast.
All joking aside, don't forget about the frontline stuff on garagelogic.com helping our first responders. There's a lot of need out there, so please. Grazie.
It is time once again that we check in with our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And now is the time for you to do the same. So do not delay. Do exactly what I did and pick up that phone and dial 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. When you call that number, you're going to get Josh, and he is there for you for that free, yes, I did use the word free, 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And he will always give you the straight talk. He will never give you the sugar-coated advice, and he is on the line with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And boy, oh boy, Josh, a lot to discuss today because the market seems to still be concerned about the Fed and interest rates, although it is pretty good about the time of the month. And boy, oh boy, one of your favorites, Apple, is reporting some new highs right now.
Well, it's going to new highs. Apple is going to go to new highs. I'll come back and touch on that in a second. But it is that time of the month, that time of the year, that the market has tended to pull back a little bit on profit taking. Mutual fund rebalancing taking place because it's the end of their fiscal year. And as I've said in the last few weeks, the varsity is back in the seats on Wall Street. They came back from their holidays in the Hamptons, looked at the sheets and said, we've got to take some profit. We're going to rotate into other companies that might be laggards and maybe make those. And there are very few earnings reports coming at this time of the year. And of course, there's concerns about the direction of Fed and what interest rates are going to do. Add that into, we'll say, the Jewish holidays, which take place at the end of the month. Old market added, which I've covered for many, many, many years. Sell Rosh Hashanah, buy Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah is the third week of September, almost coinciding with a Fed meeting. And Yom Kippur is the start of October, and that could be a good time also to buy. I do maintain, as I have always counseled you and my clients, to keep up to 30% in cash, both for safety, taking advantage of any opportunities that might avail, particularly during market pullback. In any year, typically there are 3 to 4, 5 to 10% pullback. And each one is preceded or coincides with all kinds of market consternation or And the end is still far, far away. Yes, there are some market concerns. The market is concerned with the direction of interest rates, particularly as the jobs numbers have been coming out and showing a little bit weaker labor force. A little bit weaker labor force, even with inflation stalled out around 2.5%, still above the Fed's 2% target, could give the Fed cover to start cutting short-term interest rates. I'm more concerned that the Fed stops their quantitative tightening policy of selling bonds into the marketplace, and that has kept longer-term rates higher than they should be in this economy. Longer-term interest rates would definitely be a boost for the housing market as well as the auto market, allowing people to go out and buy cars and houses at lower mortgage or car loan rates, and that would be a plus. The market is concerned with what's going on in the Fed on a macro sense. I've always tried to focus a little on the macro, and I know I talk a lot about the macro because it does affect the overall marketplace, but I do like looking at the market, the micro, and the focus that I've had for many years, companies involved in the internet, companies involved in leisure, companies that are related to, we'll say, the expanding population in China, as well as real assets, and then taking advantage of some shorter-term trading opportunities. I've avoided a lot of different reasons, and I'm happy to share those with you at a personal meeting. Investments in banks, insurance companies, pharmaceuticals, and we'll even put biotechs in that area, or other and industrials. So let's try to avoid slower moving industries or industries where there's too many moving parts. The internet, well, that's part of a growing economy. Still plenty of, we'll say, technology related to that, whether it's in semiconductors and whether it's in artificial intelligence, or whether it's in companies like Apple or Amazon or Google or Microsoft that continue to develop products and services that people want. And these companies have become very, very dominant. Last night, very interesting decision. A judge in the Google, search monopoly case ruled that Google does not have to separate out their Chrome browser. Big deal. And they said Google would not be banned from making payments to be a default, default search engine on other companies' devices. That's a huge win for Apple. Part of the reason for this change in heart from the judge became a little bit forward-looking, not backward-looking. Forward-looking, the judge sees plenty of competition to Google coming from the artificial intelligence chatbot, and they could take Google's space. Google, has seen its stock jump up and is still one of the least expensive on both the price to sales and price to earnings basis of the large technology companies, and still has a lot of catch up to do. Not to mention some of the internals with Google, including the Waymo self-driving cars, the hottest, media network. They own YouTube. Apple, favorite Apple. My client's largest holdings, and this has been a very long-term holding of mine dating back to 2004. The only other longer-term holding is Amazon. But Apple is a big winner in this Google case. This case could set Apple up, given that it has over, 2.5 billion devices around the world, for all of AI players to want to be the default AI engine on Apple's network. Could be very interesting, and that could help Apple move up above its recent high of 260, and possibly over the next year hit my target of $300 a share.
Excellent advice, as always, Mr. Money Talk. You heard him, GLers. Now is the time for you to pick up the phone and make the call for that free 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And you do that just like I did by dialing 952-925-5608, where you always get straight talk and never, ever sugar-coated advice. Josh, once again, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Chris.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.